Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 269, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Instagram and most of social media. I'll put my screen in here that shows you where you can find me on all the places. Okay, so Happy New Year. It's January 4th. Wow. 4 days into the new year. I hope it is behaving for you already. I've had a pretty good new year. I'm using this as sort of a re-entry week. I mean, I've been getting work done, but I'm easing my way into my work week. I'm using it largely as an organizational and planning kind of week because I always feel better if I can do that. And I try to do that over the holidays, like between Christmas and New Year's. But this year that just didn't happen because we had family stuff going on and everything. So I didn't get to really have any quiet downtime to myself where I could really, focus and plan. So I was feeling a little discombobulated on January 2nd after everybody was gone and back to work and I was by myself, and it's like, well, now what do I do? Because I don't have a plan yet. So I've been making my plans. I mean, I'm getting practical work done too, obviously, but planning is practical. Fail to plan, you plan to fail, correct? Who said that? That sounds like something Benjamin Franklin or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's been a good week. I hope you're having a good week too. And I've got lots to talk about today. Let me just give you a real quick synopsis of what this episode is going to have in it and what it's not going to have in it. I do have a good bit of fibery content for you, so we're going to start off with that. What it will not have in it is the prize winner announcements for A Year in the Life of a Knitter, the December winners, the autumn quarter winners, and then the whole year grand prize winner. I'm going to record a totally separate video sometime between now and next week's regular podcast where I will announce all the winners because it'll just take way too long in this episode to do it, and I still have to go through a lot of stuff and make sure I have all of the winners right and prizes and everything. So I'd rather just take my time and be able to do that in a separate recording. So you can be looking for that, in the next few days, hopefully. Shaky puppy over there. And then I do have some information about our current knit along, as well as some other conversations that we've got going on in the 90% knitting group. I'm looking forward to all of the activity continuing over there, chatter-wise, that we had last year. And so far, so good. Everybody seems to be pretty into it, so thank you for that. Then we'll have some 10%, and then in shop news, I have a little bit of extra stuff to tell you about the Conversion Rewards Program that I introduced in last week's podcast. Just a couple of clarifications because I did get some questions over the past week or so. So I want to update you on some of those things. And I'm also going to introduce my new yarn club that will be starting soon. My signups for that are going to start on Monday. This coming Monday, the 8th. So I'm going to tell you all about the yarn club. So if you are interested in the upcoming yarn club, which will be a self-striping yarn club, if you're interested in hearing about that, or you're taking part in the Conversion Rewards Program, you're probably going to want to stick around for the shop news part of the podcast today. I'll put I'll have everything in the timestamp menu, so if you don't have time to watch the whole video right now and you just want to watch that part, you can skip ahead too. But I just want to let you know that information will be there. So let's get on with 90% and the knitting things that I have to show you. And spinning. I have spinning to show you too. All right, I've got a finished object, which you haven't even seen as a work in progress yet because I started it just the other day, I think the 29th maybe. It is a hat, and it's a quadri hat. Now this has not been blocked yet, so it's not opened up and stretched out, so the cables are still scrunched together, but yeah, and I did it with variegated yarn, obviously, so it's a little hard to see on the screen. I think I can see them pretty well in person. Anyway, this is the quadri hat pattern by Michelle Wong. You've probably seen this hat done a million times on other podcasts. I would put this on my head, but I know it will cause my hair to go whoof with static electricity, so I'm not going to right now. It's really cute. I was in the mood to knit something with cables. I've been having that cable craving, and I just wanted something different, and so I cast on this hat. And I've been dying to use this colorway too, my leaf pile colorway. This is on my cozy base. So I said, well, I'll do this hat and we'll see how it goes. And I like it. I mean, I know variegated yarns can sometimes be too busy to really show off any significant patterning, but I think once this is blocked and everything's opened up, you'll definitely be able to see the eyelets that are in there and the cables. Obviously not as clearly as if it was on a solid colored yarn or semi-solid, but I'm happy with it. I really love the cabling detail in the headband, the brim headband, oh my goodness, the brim part. I think it's really pretty. And you know, if you've ever seen these on anybody else's podcast, you just know it's a very pretty hat if you like cables. I liked it because it made me think I had to concentrate. It wasn't just a plain vanilla, easily remembered pattern. However, there are 5 repeats around the whole hat for each row. And after I did the first one, I was usually able to do the other 4 without having to continuously look at the directions. The pattern is written out as well as charted for both of the sizes. I made the smaller size. That's the only thing I wish I would have done differently. I wish I would have made the larger size because this does fit me. You know what? I'll just put it on. It might be easier than, you know, doing all that. Hair. Yeah. All right. So anyway, it fits me, and I mean, it comes down. I can't see you now because I look like a sheepdog. All right. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to take it off in a minute. I mean, it comes down to the bottom of my ears, so it would keep my ears, you know, warm. But it's really snug, and I kind of wanted it to be the more slouchy version. So I finished this morning, actually. Ooh, hair's not too bad. Okay. I finished this morning, and as I finished it, and it was before I ran the tail through the last stitches, I was sitting here looking at it, and I thought, should I rip it out and start over with the bigger size? And then I thought about it for a little bit, and I thought, you know what? No. I thought, I'm going to keep this one, and I'll use this like as a show sample or whatever. And I still need to make a pom-pom for it. I'm going to put a pom-pom on the top because I do have definitely enough yarns. I will make a pom-pom for it with the leftover yarn. And I think it'll be fine, and it'll definitely be fine for a show sample. It's not like I couldn't wear it, but it's a little snug. And honestly, I got out of it what I wanted to. I wanted to knit the pattern, and I wanted to use this yarn, and I did both, and I enjoyed both. I really enjoyed the pattern, though. I did not follow the chart, which is odd for me. I usually knit according to charts as opposed to the written out directions, but for whatever reason I gravitated towards the written directions this time, and it worked fine. I did have to refer to the legend for the chart to know what some of her cabling instructions meant, but I was able to do all of the cabling without a cable needle, so nothing was super difficult. I'm really happy with it, and I did completely enjoy this knit. It was very enjoyable, so I very much recommend this pattern if you're looking for, you know, a cabled hat pattern to play with. But I decided that instead of ripping this out and redoing it, I'm going to save this one for my, like I said, as a sample, and I'm going to knit myself another one in the larger size. And I think what I'm going to do is I am going to try to find like either a heathered color or a more solid color, because I have and this is what's driving actually my choice to do it again, is I have those raccoon pom-poms. I used some as prizes one time, but I have those raccoon pom-poms, and I would really like to put one of those on one of these hats. It would not look right on this hat, but I'm going to get one of those pom-poms out and then go through my stash and see what yarn I have that will go with that. I know, it's really weird to be driven by a pom-pom to choose your yarn for a pattern, but that's what I'm going to do, and it'll be fine. So anyway, it's a finished quadri hat. It still needs blocked, and it still needs its pom-pom, but otherwise I'm considering it finished. Okay, so I have a hoe as well, and that is my husband's sock. His un-Christmas sock, which is technically the Regia Arnie and Carlos Summer Nights colorway. This has been a hoe twice now. I finished it about, I don't know, maybe 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, and I got to the toe and bound off, did my Kitchener stitch and everything. And I looked at it and I thought, it looks a little short. And I measured it, and it measured fine. It was actually a little bit like a quarter of an inch longer than what I usually make for his socks. But well, actually, no, that's not true. I did the Kitchener stitch, but before I wove the ends in, I said to him, I'm like, I want you to try this on just to make sure it fits okay. And he did try it on. He's like, it's a little short. It could use another half an inch. I'm like, okay. So I ended up, I picked out my Kitchener stitch and ripped back the toe, and I knit another half an inch or so, and then did the toe again. And it's fine for him now. I asked him, I'm like, did your feet grow or something? Because this is I used the same stitch count as I always use for his socks. Well, almost always. It's a 60 stitch sock. He and I can basically wear the same size socks. Our feet aren't, lengthwise, they're not too much different. His might be like a quarter of an inch longer than mine. His feet are wider than mine, though, and I think that might be what is causing the issue. Anyway, if you remember, I had originally cast this sock on for me, and then I decided I did not like the colorway because it wasn't the one I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be the other one, the other Arnie and Carlos one that is, actually, am I even calling that? This may not be Summer Nights. The other one might be Summer Nights. Don't quote me on the colorway name now. I don't remember. And I don't have it in my notes. Sorry. Check my project pages. They'll be correct. Anyway, it's not the one that I wanted for me. And so I asked him if he liked it. He said yes. So I decided to make it for him. And I did it in 3x1 rib, which when I started the sock for me, I did it in 3x1 rib, but I was just going to do a stockinette sock for me. So, and honestly, I have no idea why I was doing a 3x1 rib on 60 stitches. Ordinarily, I would do that on 64 stitches so that you have the same number of repeats on the front and on the back. And you don't have to split a repeat, between the two needles. So, I have no idea why I did that, but since he likes ribbed cuffs, I went ahead and I did the whole thing in the 3x1 rib on the 60 stitches. So that was fine for up here because I had, just one fewer repeat on one needle than the other. But when I got down to the heel, I ended up doing the heel flap on the half that had more stitches, if I'm remembering this correctly. It had the extra repeat. So then when I was coming back around and I did my gusset decreases, and I was getting back down to my stitch count, I realized this is off and this is going to be weird. So then by the time I got down to the toe, I still had the stitches were off from one needle to the other. Now what I should have done to begin with, but I didn't, I did it the second time but not the first time, is I just should have switched one stitch from either side onto the instep needle, and then it would have been even, and it wouldn't have mattered because at that point I'm just knitting stockinette all around. But I didn't do that the first time, and so I ended up with 2 extra stitches on the sole, and I was doing like extra decreases, and I think it just shaped the toe very oddly the way I did it. And so who knows? I was writing all this out in a post on the 90% knitting group the other day, and I was just laughing at myself as I was typing because it's like, Lisa, have you ever knit socks before? Do you even know what you're doing? Because it didn't sound like I did. Anyway, all that said, it fits him now. I will do the second sock in the same strange way so they will match, but it's a hoe and he will soon have another pair of socks. That was such a long story to get to that point. Anyway, okay, those are my finished-y things. I did work on both of my Christmas Eve cast-ons. So I'll show you this one first. This is the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas sock by Danny from Little Bobbin's podcast, The Pattern. I've got the cuff done, so you can see my little trees going down there. And I just finished the heel flap this morning, so I need to do my heel turn and pick up for the gusset stitches yet on that. So I'm knitting this. The green is my bedazzled base in the bright green, and this little bit of red on the top is some undyed yarn company Unwind, not Undyed, Unwind Yarn Company in her O negative sparkly base. Her sparkly is the one with the gold stellina rather than silver though. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the red at the toe, and then the other sock is going to be reversed. The other one will be all red with a little bit of green at the cuff and the toe. So that's where that is. I know, I feel like I'm running through that, but I really don't feel like I worked on it a whole ton. And then the other one is my Hippie Christmas sock. The Hippie Christmas color, this whole set is all from Twisted Strings Yarn Company. And so I finished, I can't remember where I was last time, but I finished the cuff, and then I switched to the really bright green for the heel. And then when I picked up the gusset stitches, I went back to the main color. And so then when I get to the toe on this one, it will be red. And then the second sock will be reversed. The cuff and the toe will be green, and the heel will be red, and it'll be all fun. And I have a thing going with this alternating colors this year. I don't know. But I'm really enjoying it. And this is also on a sparkly base, which, I don't know, Christmas socks seem like they need sparkly bases apparently. But yeah, this one I'm doing on US 1.5s. The other one, the Christmas tree sock motif socks, those are on US 0s. Yeah, US 1s, US 0s. Only because I did not have 2 pair of US 0s to work with, so had to use a 1. Okay, and let me just mention this tea that I'm drinking. Somebody sent this to me. Last year when I did all those mini swaps with people, a lot of people sent me tea, and several of you from over across the pond in Europe sent me lovely teas, and I don't know which one of you sent me this. This is Nordquist, I think. I don't know. Does the tag look familiar? These are all, they're black teas, but they all have different fruit flavorings in them, and I had at least 3 or 4 of them. The bags, the envelopes that the bags come in are written all in different language, some different language that I cannot read, although the ingredients on the back are written in several languages, so English is there, which is how I know it's black tea. This one had apricot and pineapple and one other fruit flavor in it. I don't know. All I can say is they are so good. I've been drinking them this week, and I am enjoying them. I know it's taken me a whole year to get around to drinking these teas, but I got a lot of teas last year, plus we have at least a dozen different kinds of teas that we've purchased. We like tea. I just don't drink it a lot during the warmer months. I only drink tea mostly in the winter. So anyway, I'm really enjoying this. Whoever sent this to me, I love this tea. It's super yummy. I kind of wonder if I can find it around here so I can buy more boxes of tea to add to my closet. Okay, so let's see. What else did I work on? Okay, that's all the knitting I really worked on. I'm sorry, now I did my hair with the hat and I feel like things are fuzzy. Okay, spinning though. I have spinning. Guess what I finished? Yeah, the blue BFL. It's all done. These are the last 4 skeins. I ended up plying these on my Traveler, which is sitting over here, which is why I'm pointing over here, because my Sidekick, which is over there, I think I explained this last week, it's having issues, and even though it still works, it's super noisy, and I just was not in the mood to listen to all that racket while I was plying these. So that's why I have smaller skeins, because these were my original skeins that I was getting, like really big ones. So it just means I'll have to join in more ends, which isn't a big deal. But anyway, these were the last 3 that I plied, the traditional 3-ply, and then this was just what I had left on a couple of bobbins, and well, actually on all 3 bobbins, because yeah, anyway. The last of the fiber, the last of the singles, I Navajo plied. I chain plied them, just rather than trying to fuss with it and make even bobbins with what was left. It was just easier. So this is about 55 yards of this chain ply, but all the rest of it, my original 3 huge skeins, plus these 3 most recent skeins, I have 1,377 yards, plus 55. That is so much yardage. I think that's enough that I could do some kind of sweater with this. I don't know what sweater. I haven't even started thinking about a pattern for it yet. All of this needs to be soaked and, fluffed up so that I can do like a swatch and figure out what kind of gauge I'm getting. And then I will do that kind of a search on Ravelry, with by gauge. I love that you can search that way. I don't usually, but the patterns are so searchable by so many different ways. So yeah, but I'm so happy to have that fiber off the wheel, finally. I mean, it's been almost 2 years because 2 years ago, remember, that was the year I was going to spin up. I think I had, I don't know, at least 8 or something of my oldest stash fibers. And I think I spun up like maybe 1 or 2 smaller ones. And then this was one of the bigger lots of fiber I had. And I got stuck on it. It was just so much spinning. So I do have another huge batch of Briar Rose fiber. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's this gold. By the way, this sweater that I'm wearing is hand spun. And it's also one of the first garments I think I ever knit. It's definitely, I'm pretty sure, the only one I've ever knit out of hand spun. This was a test knit many years ago for Cosette Cornelius Bates, and I think it was called Croci, which it was written for hand spun yarn. So I knit it. I don't wear a lot because it has kind of a weird silhouette on me. I mean, sitting down like this, it's fine. But if I turned right, it's kind of poofy in the back. I don't know. But it's warm, and I have it, and it's hand spun, so I put a lot of time and effort into it. And I like it. It's just, it's really open, and it, depending on what I wear underneath it, it tends to want to fall off my shoulders a little. I know I could do things to remedy that, but again, I just don't wear it enough to warrant messing with it too much. But I wanted to put it on today because I'm really trying to make an effort to wear the hand knit garments that I have. I do have several sweaters, but there's only a couple that I really, really like and wear frequently. So I'm trying to make myself wear my other ones, even if I just wear them around the house, because right now it's frigid. Like, we have these Arctic temperatures happening right now. So like, wool is a good thing. So yeah, I put this one on. And actually with this long sleeve, heavy t-shirty kind of thing, I mean, I keep doing this to kind of pull it all up occasionally, but otherwise it's staying up pretty well. But it's also short, short sleeve, so I have to wear something long sleeved under it in the winter to keep warm. And I'm not going to wear something heavy with a tank top. Usually it would be too warm anyway. So whatever, but that's what I'm wearing. But anyway, what I was saying was this goldish kind of color here, I'm almost positive this is a little bit of that other big lot of Briar Rose BFL that I've got that I want to spin. I was so tempted to start spinning that right off the bat when I finished the blue, and I thought, are you crazy? You just finished this huge spin of this. You don't want to do that right away. And I don't. But I did start another spin, and it's this fiber. I'm not done with the first half, so I don't want to take the bobbin off, and it's on my well, I'll try to move it over here in a minute. But anyway, this is what the fiber looks like, and this was some one lupine fiber I got at the Highlands on the Fly Retreat a couple years ago. So here's the tag. And it is 5 ounces of BFL silk. And it is beautiful. I haven't spun BFL silk in a while. It's one of my favorite fibers. BFL anything I love. I love BFL. And this BFL silk is just spinning like butter. It's so nice. I love this color because it's got so much of the natural color still showing, but then there's all these really fun, bright pops of color. But then, obviously, whenever you spin, even if things are super bright on the braid, I'm going to try to bring this over here to show you the bobbin. I'm not sure how well it's going to show up, though. And this is a hard wheel to pick up and show you. Yeah, can you see that? You see how much more muted it is on the bobbin once it's spun? I can't wait to see it once it's plied. My plan is to just do a 2-ply. I split the braid in half, like folded the whole, like I unbraided the whole thing, and I didn't split it down the whole length of the fiber. I just folded the fiber in half and pulled it apart because there was no pattern to this dye, the way it was dyed. So Spinning one half. I'm hoping I can get the whole half on this bobbin. I've still got this much. That's like a quarter, and then I've got one more quarter to go. The bobbin's gonna get quite full. I don't know, but hopefully I won't have to split it up any more than that. So I can then just two-ply it, and then I'll have to make the decision as to whether I want to two-ply it on my nice jumbo flyer and have to listen to the racket while it does it, or I'll just have to do smaller skeins on this wheel. I don't know. We'll see. Whatever. I'm just having fun spinning something other than the blue BFL right now. But I really would like to do this. I'm pretty sure it's this color. It's a really nice pumpkin-y gold, orangey kind of color. I don't think it's this. This, I think, was all I had of this color, this orange. I'm pretty sure both of these were also Briar Rose fibers. I think. I don't know. It's been so long. I probably have it in my project notes. But anyway, so that's my spinning. If you remember last week, I was showing you all of my whips. I have some funny things to tell you about that. First of all, I did end up frogging the things I said I thought I was going to frog. I frogged the Dalen pullover, which was only like this much of it. I will probably cast that on again someday in a different yarn, but I just really wanted that blue Cascade 220 for a different sweater. So that has been frogged. I frogged the Close to You. It's funny because I kept getting feedback from you guys, and some people are like, just finish it, and other people are like, frog it. I frogged it. It just, after thinking about it, I thought, number one, I don't really like the colors. They're not my colors. They're really not even my mom's colors. I can over dye that yarn to be something more that I would like. And the style of the shawl itself, I mean, it was okay. I don't know. It looked just a little too lacy for what I really would wear right now. And I don't know if my mom would wear it or not. I can't keep up with what she likes and doesn't like at this point because she's like going through a second teenagerhood or something. I don't know. That sounds weird. Anyway, so between that and the fact that I had split stitches in a few places and didn't catch it until much later, that was going to bother me, so I just ripped it. I ripped it out and wound it back into a ball, and eventually I will skein it up and I'll re-dye it as something else and try it again. But I do like the base, and it is a base I'm probably going to introduce into the shop this spring sometime. That's my hope. What else did I frog? I frogged that bulky yarn shawl, the water birch. It was pretty, but I was not enjoying knitting with bulky yarn on big needles like that. I just knew I wasn't going to enjoy that, so that went. The Wildesmeer shawl, like I said, I like the shawl, I like the yarn, the colors. I just lost my enthusiasm for it because I let it languish for way too long. So it's gone, it's been frogged. That blue sock that I was designing, it's gone because I will never finish that design. I just had too many issues. Maybe it will be reincarnated someday in some other design, but it's not going to be that one. So I can now reuse that yarn for something else once it's soaked because, oh my gosh, it's been knit into a sock for so many years, or part of a sock. And then, oh, that little monster that I had started, there wasn't really even much to rip of that. I just basically took the yarn out of the bag and said I'll use it for something else. So those are all gone. But the other funny thing about this was after I'd gone through all of that with you guys, like in the back of my mind I thought, you know, I feel like I've got a couple of other whips somewhere that I'm not seeing. And I didn't look in my project pages. Had I looked, I would have seen what ones I was missing. But then I did remember, what about that sweater that I had started out of the Plotulopi? Remember that I started last year, kind of around the same time that I started my Hero cardigan? Well, that hadn't been in that bin. I found it. I was in the yarn room the other day and I was looking, and there was a bag sitting on the floor. I thought it was full of mini skeins because I have 2 full tote bags of mini skeins, and I thought this was one of them, but it wasn't. Anyway, so here was the bag, this nice big Ravelry tote bag. Yeah, it had projects in it. So I found my cardigan that I had started. I can't believe I didn't miss this project bag for one thing, because I love this bag. I bought it last year. It's a Bags by Awesome Granny bag. Anyway, this is all, yikes, this is all the further I am on that Pluto Lopi sweater, and that was going to be the Rusty cardigan. I'm kind of torn actually as to whether I want to continue this, mostly because the Rusty cardigan isn't sized for my size. It stops a little shy of my size. So it would take some finagling, and I can't remember if I finagled and cast on more stitches or not. This is not a yarn that can be ripped, so if I take it, if I decide not to finish it, it's just going to be waste. But honestly, that's not that much yarn. I do have some other sweaters that I've seen since I started this one that I think would look great in the Pluto Lopi. So I may just abandon this and use it for something else. So that was one. And then there's another project in another Bags by Awesome Granny bag that I totally forgot. And I don't think I even have a project page for this, to tell you the truth. This is that shawl that I started last summer for my mom. It was just going to be one of my elongated triangular shawls. I started it out of linen, Katia linen, and hempathy, I think. Or maybe it's all Katia linen. I don't know. I think it's hempathy. Anyway, I started it, and I didn't like how it was going. These colors that I chose just really didn't, excuse me, float my boat. I stopped working on this because number one, I didn't like it, and number two, I wasn't going to get it done in time. And that's when I cast on that Close to You that I also abandoned and did not give my mom, and I ended up giving her a pair of socks for her birthday instead. I'm not going to finish this. I'm not even going to rip it out because these are all, you know, all these ends you can see. They're just going to be little bits of yarn. This is going to also be abandoned, and I'm going to get my nice US 7 Knitter's Pride Dreams needles back, and this project bag. And in here, oh my goodness, I have a whole little bag of notions that I didn't even realize were in here. I've got all these chibi needles, I've got a little hickey, a tape measure, some stitch markers. I've been missing these notions all this time. Seriously. So I've regained notions, a bag, a set of needles, and I'm just giving up on this project that I don't... Oh my gosh, there's another pair of needles in here too. Wow. US 6s, and I'm always looking for US 6s. How did I not know these were in here? And where did I even get them? Because these are Addy Rockets, Addy Turbo Rockets, US 6s. I wonder where I got these. It's a mystery. Wow. Okay. So this is another project that will be going bye-bye. And then the other thing in here is this isn't even a project. This is just a tote bag that has a whole bunch of yarn in it. This is yarn I got from the Webs sale last year when I was going hog wild with that. And it is hempathy, and I bought a whole bunch of this orange hempathy to make myself a summer top. And I guess I thought if I had it in this bag that I would somehow miraculously start making a top. Maybe that's what the US 6 needles were for. Because I think I had a lot of this with me when we were on our vacation last summer. I don't know. I have no idea. And then the only other thing in this bag is... this is my little granny square blanket that I had been working on quite a while ago now, and it's been abandoned ever since I've been working on the Granny Stripes blanket. I love this blanket. I mean, all these little granny squares make me super happy. However, ever since I've discovered the joy of Granny Stripes over Granny Squares, I'm thinking I'm probably not going to finish this. It's unlikely. I mean, they're fun, but it's a lot of fiddling because you have to, you know, I knit the square, then I put the border on, and then I have to crochet them all together. Who has time for that? I think what I'm going to do, I've decided, this is kind of in line with our knit along right now too, because this is a repurpose. I'm going to finish this last row, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 more little squares. That's totally doable. I will join them to the blanket, and then what I'm going to do, I think, if this works right, do I have, yep, it does, because I've got an even number. I'm going to fold it in half, and use it as a pillow covering. So I will find a pillow to fit in there, hopefully, one that'll be close to that size. And that's what it's going to be. I'll still get to use it and still enjoy all those little squares that I did, but I'm just so through with doing all those little squares. Yeah. I love doing granny squares, but those tiny ones were very time consuming. So anyway, that was my additional whips that I found hiding in the corner of my yarn room. Okay. What else? I've got some new things to show you. Speaking of Bags by Awesome Granny Bags, I have a new one. If you watch her podcast, she does a podcast with Carrie, who is Knitfomaniac, and it's the Knitters Gotta Knit. Yeah, Knitters Gotta Knit podcast. I always want to say either gonna or gotta, but I think it's gotta. Sorry, Darlene. I'm sorry I'm getting that wrong. Anyway, they have the Knitters Gotta Knit podcast, and she showed a bag that her husband made her. He makes tote bags, apparently, like not zippered bags, but like big tote bags, that he had made for Carrie out of this fabric. Look at this fabric. They're pigs in mud, and they're like doing the backstroke, and they're snorkeling and swimming and playing with beach balls. I just thought this was so cute. And she mentioned on the podcast that she had some of this fabric for her shop too, and I like zoomed over there and I'm like, I have to have one of those. So I bought another nice big, it's her large bag, and she was so kind and she threw in a little notions pouch for me too out of it. So I just love this bag so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Darlene. It's lovely. So I got that, and then another thing I got was I got some stitch markers. And I've been wanting to order these for a while, and I just haven't for whatever reason. But if you watch the Victorian Studio podcast with Maureen, she does stitch markers, and her attention to detail is just incredible. She does the most detail-oriented stitch markers. So I ordered 2. I got this cute little cinnamon bun, which doesn't that just look like, the icing looks totally real. It's just so cute. And then I also ordered this piece of cake, which is actually a little larger than most stitch markers I use. These are all Progress Keepers, by the way. Actually, she makes her markers so that they can be either Progress Keepers or stitch markers, because she puts a nice big loop on there, so you could use it as either. Which is kind of cool. I've not seen that before. Anyway, so I got the cake and I got the cinnamon roll, and then she sent me a couple of extras that are pie, which, considering my pie colorways, I think that's so cool. So she sent me some lemon meringue. Look at the little slice of lemon on there. Isn't that just adorable? So lemon meringue and then key lime, I guess, or maybe lime meringue. I don't really know about lime pies, but this little green one. And look at the little lime slice. It's so perfectly realistic. And even like the rose on the cake. That's incredible. So anyway, I'm super excited about these. And again, her shop is on Etsy, and it is the Victorian Studio. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to read this sticker, but Victorian Studio shop, and it is on Etsy, so I will link it in the show notes. And I apologize, I never did get show notes up for the last episode, but it was the middle of the holidays, and I hope you understand. So anyway, those are my new things. Again, I said the winners, I will announce all of the winners for the A Year in the Life of a Knitter Knit Along in a separate episode, or it won't really even be an episode, it'll just be the winner announcements in a video in the next few days. So that brings us to our current CAL, which is for January. It's the Finish, Frog, Repair, or Repurpose CAL. Very loose CAL. There is a thread for it over in the 90% Knitting group. We've got chatter going on. Let us know. Are you finishing things? Are you frogging things like I've been doing? Do you have something that needs to be fixed before you can finish it? Or a finished object that you're not wearing because it needs to be fixed, or do you have something that you're just going to repurpose because what you were originally going to do isn't floating your boat anymore, kind of like my little granny square thing. So I'd love to hear about it. come on over and join us in the chatter group. That would be great. I will probably, do some drawings for prizes at the end of the month. I don't know. It's like I said, it's just a really loose, informal knit along. And I know there have been other like knit alongs similar to this theme. I know the Fat Squirrel did her It's Alive along recently, which was all about that repairing or repurposing things or finishing things. But that's fine. Even if you only have 1 or 2 whips on the needles and you want to finish them with us, come chat anyway. It's fine. I've also added 2 other threads to the group recently. One is called Keep the Conversation Going, and I mainly added that one because we had had so much chatter in the year in the life of a knit along threads, and a lot of people were like, I don't want the chatter to end, so a random thread. You can talk about anything in there. It's not specific to any one knit along. It's just whatever you want to chat about. Please use that as a conversation thread. I think that would just be fun. Whatever you want to talk about, it's there. And then lastly, I started one called Who Wants to Knit Color Work with Me? Because if you remember, whenever I showed you all of my patterns that I'm going to be drawing from this year for some of my projects, a lot of them were color work patterns, and I know a lot of other people want to knit color work this year too. So regardless of what the patterns are that you want to do, that we don't have to be doing the same ones, that thread is there. So I would love to know what color work you're working on. If you want to share pictures, we can talk, we can troubleshoot with each other, share tips and ideas, whatever. That thread is there for that as well. So feel free to take part in any one of those or all of them. I'm trying to make an effort to make sure I check in there at least once a day and join in the chatter with you guys. So yeah, I just want to keep talking to you. Okay, that's everything I've got for 90%. Let's go to 10%, which basically, the holidays are over. I have not de-Christmased. My house is still decorated. Hopefully, I might get to that later today and start undecorating. I'm not in a huge hurry though. Quite honestly, it doesn't bother me to leave my tree up and everything for a week or so after Christmas. It's kind of nice. Well, obviously after Christmas, but a week or so after New Year's, If I make it to mid-January and it's still up, then it's getting old for me, but hopefully it'll be down before that. Let's see, New Year's Eve was very nice and laid back for us. Actually, both of the kids, Chris and Emma, both came up and they spent the night. That night, it was funny because Christopher's car was due for inspection in December and he let it go to the last minute and he took it in like a few days before New Year's and the guy's like, it needs a new strut and it's got a giant hole underneath that needs to be fixed. So he couldn't get it inspected and he doesn't know how to fix those things himself. And so he's like, do you think Bill would help me? And he bought this car from Bill to begin with last year. And it's an old car. It's like a 20-year-old car. And so I'm like, I'm sure he'll help you if you ask him. And so that's what they did New Year's Eve day. They were in the garage all day long up until 7 or 8 in the evening working on Chris's car. Chris was like, can we stop now? Can we? And Bill's like, no, you can't, because this, like, especially the bodywork stuff had to be patched and they had to get the strut out first before, I don't know. It was a big ordeal. But they did get it fixed, so hopefully he'll be able to get the car inspected now, since it's past due. But anyway, Chris was so tired from doing the car work all day that he was in bed way before midnight, which is odd for him. But he went in the office, he brings his air mattress and sleeping bag up and he'll sleep in there. So Emma and Bill and I stayed up and we watched movies. None of us were in a game playing mood. We just decided to watch movies. But we had made a bunch of appetizers. We did not do fondue this year, which is odd. We usually do fondue. But this was an appetizer year. And it was just a really nice laid back day. And I feel like I'm going to sneeze and I don't want to blow your eardrums out. Anyway, yeah, then midnight came in, we, watched the ball drop and basically we went to bed because we were all tired. So, and then New Year's Day, I had to drive Emma to meet her roommate because they were driving back to Charlotte that day. So she was gone that day. And by the time I got back, Chris and Bill were done doing the last stuff that they needed to do on the car. So they drove back to my house because Bill's one car that Emma had been using was still there. Long story. But anyway, so he went back to get his car. And so the holidays were over at that point. I did make pork and sauerkraut for dinner that night, though, because that's a tradition for us. Well, for me, my family. We're German, so that was something we always did. So I carried on that tradition. Um, yeah, Emma's back in Charlotte. Chris is back to work. Bill's back to work. And I'm back to work, but I'm at home. And thankfully, that's fine because you know what? It's been frigid. We have had temperatures below zero, which I know, depending on if like you live in Canada or whatever, you have that all the time. We don't all the time, and the last couple of winters here have been unseasonably warm. Now we have unseasonably cold temperatures. So this week I've been in the house a lot. I have been wearing fleece-lined leggings. I've been posting pictures of my cold weather wardrobe on Instagram occasionally to my personal, my Fiber Nymph account. Yesterday's wasn't too bad. It was pretty color coordinated. The day before I looked like a clown. Today's not too bad either. I've got black leggings on with a little black skirt. It's funny because I like the skirts. They're super comfy. And with these fleece leggings on, I'm so warm. Hand-knit socks, sweater, shirt. It's great. I love being in the house. I love not having to leave my house. In general, ever, I love not leaving my house, but especially when it's really cold. The other really exciting kind of thing going on is we now have 6 cats here again. No, we've not gotten another kitten, but Babette is now an official resident of the mountain house. I told the kids, I'm like, hey, if you want to bring Babette up with you for New Year's Eve, you can, because I felt bad that she was going to be home alone, but she's a cat and she's probably like, please just leave me home alone. But Emma brought her up and she said she cried the entire drive up, so that had to have been a lot of fun. She spent the first day here freaked out and hiding under the treadmill the entire day pretty much. By nighttime she was starting to creep out occasionally, but if one of the other cats got anywhere near her, she ran right back under there. Then by New Year's Day, she was coming out and starting to explore, and by the next day, she was all over the place. Like, she's jumping up on the counters and up on top of the kitchen cabinets. She never got on the counters at my house, ever. And suddenly now she's here and she's seeing all the other cats do it. She's like, hey, I'm going to do that too. So she's totally acclimated to being here, and I'm glad, because I was worried about how that was going to go, that transition, when we needed to move her up here. So I feel really good about that. And she has not been outside up here yet, only because it's super frigid and we don't want to let her out the front door lest she run off somewhere. She hasn't discovered the cat door yet. She's watched the other cats go in and out, but she hasn't tried it yet. So hopefully she'll wait till it warms up a little bit. But otherwise, you know, things are good. She has transitioned up here okay. My son, Chris, he just got his keys to his new apartment yesterday, so he's going to be starting to move in there soon. So that's another transition. I was kind of worried about that too, because I was feeling like, okay, once I sell the house, you know, how am I going to see him? And he's going to be in an apartment. Is he going to even want to come up here? But then when he was leaving on Monday, and, you know, he was putting his sleeping bag and his air mattress away in the office, he's like, hey, can I just leave this stuff up here for when I come up next time? And I'm like, yes. So he's planning on coming up. So that, you know, I'm feeling good about these transitions, because there's still more to come, but I feel like everything's kind of going in a good way right now. So, yay. Okay, so that is everything for 10%. I'm going to go to shop news now. First of all, let me say thank you to everybody who shopped my end of year sale. Everything's been shipped out, obviously, by now, but I hope you enjoy all of your goodies. And if you are going to be taking part in the Conversion Rewards Program, then all of that goodie stuff that you got is going to help you out with that. Let me clarify. Again, first of all, if you haven't looked into that yet, there's a whole thread in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Ravelry that talks about the Conversion Rewards Program. It's basically a way to earn new yarn by using your old Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn. It's just for Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn. So there's that, and then I also did a separate video introducing the whole program, so either one of those would be a good place to start if you want to know about that program and take part. But I had some questions, and I just wanted to clarify those here on the podcast. Number one, someone had asked about weaving, if the warp had to also be Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn or if it could be something else. And I understand where that question's coming from, because I know some people prefer to use a stronger yarn than just like a sock yarn or whatever. However, I'm going to say no for this time around, because I just feel like that's going to open the door to other people saying, well, can I use another yarn for this or for, you know, no, all of the yarn used in the weaving projects needs to be Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn. I'm sorry, I know that might limit some people, but I need to keep it simple this year, and then maybe next year I'll reevaluate that. Another question I had was about hand spun, because I said if you're spinning fiber this year, you can count the grams of your spun fiber into yarn for this year, but you cannot also then count the yarn if you knit with it. I had somebody ask, what about yarn that I knit last year or in a previous year prior to 2018? Can I use that Fiber Nymph Dye Works spun yarn? Yes, absolutely. If it was already spun prior to January 1st of this year, you can count that yarn as yarn grams this year. You just can't do both. Like, it either has to be the grams from spinning it this year or the grams from knitting it. It just cannot be double dipped that way. And lastly, somebody asked about socks, like single socks. They had started a pair prior, you know, like last year, but then the second sock got started after, like in this year. Can they count just the grams of the single sock? Yes, I'm fine with that. Even if you just knit socks this year and only knit one, or knit one mitt or whatever, as long as that particular item is finished, the grams for those can be counted. I'm fine with that. They don't have to be in full pairs. However, if you do finish the pair, you can't count the first one twice. Like, if you already counted it, you're only going to count the second one later on, okay? So, all right. Lastly, I just want to let you know about the new yarn club. It's the Happy Hour Self-Striping Yarn Club. Yes. Okay, let me get my page up here so I can make sure I tell you all of the information. I will say I have all of this information written out in a thread in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group, so that's where you want to go to read all the details about this. But obviously the club is being inspired by happy hour and adult beverages. This will be a 3-shipment club, like all of my clubs have been, and each shipment is going to feature a self-striping colorway that will be either 4, 5, or 6 stripes, and they will all be inspired by a different adult beverage. So you will have choices. You'll have your choice of yarn base. The bases that I'm offering for this club are Bounce and Bedazzled, which are both fingering, Traveler, which is sport weight, and Cozy, which is worsted weight. So you can choose from any one of those 4 bases. Whatever choice you make, that will be the base you'll get for the entire club. There is no option for getting multiple bases throughout the club for this one. You also have your choice of whether you receive 1 skein or 2 skeins per shipment. So that's cool. And what's really fun this time around is each shipment is going to contain an extra. And the extra is going to be a stitch marker made by Maureen of the Victorian Studio, whose stitch markers I just showed you. And she is going to be doing up these absolutely adorable markers / progress keeper, because like I said, hers can be used either way, that will coordinate with the theme of each colorway. I can't wait to see these. I already saw the first 2 that she's doing. I haven't seen the 3rd one yet, but I am so tickled about these, and I think you're going to love them. So each shipment will come with 1 marker. So whether you get 1 skein or 2 skein, you're still going to just get 1 marker. But yeah, all of the shipments will have that little extra with them. So I hope you enjoy that. They're super cute. Let's see what else. The installments will all ship in the last 7 days of each shipment month. The months will be February, April, and June. And as always, the club colorways will remain exclusive to the club for at least 6 months. And Maureen is making her marker designs, those markers that will come with your shipments. Those will all be exclusive to the club for 6 months as well. I have the pricing information for all of the yarn bases, as well as the discount if you, I'm jumping ahead, I'm sorry. I have information about all of the yarn bases and your quantity options and your payment options in that thread on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group and Ravelry. You're going to want to look at that for all the details. But as always, I'm giving you the option of either paying your full club up front and getting a 10% discount, or you have the pay per shipment option. I was going to do the pay per shipment option a little bit differently, but then I was running into too many obstacles, so it's just going to be the same thing as it's always been. I will be posting a questionnaire. Well, I'll be posting the link to the questionnaire in that thread and on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works page on Facebook and in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works account on Instagram. All three of those places. I will post the link for the sign-up questionnaire at 9 a.m. Eastern on Monday, the 8th. You will be able to sign up using that questionnaire. There will be 30 spots available, and that's it. I'm not going to go over on this one. Yeah, it's just going to be 30 spots available. So the questionnaire will remain live until all 30 spots are filled, or until the following Monday at 9 a.m. So if there's still unfilled spots at that point, I'm going to close the club signups at that point. So it'll be the same as I've done this in the past. And just in case you aren't familiar, let me just summarize it real quick. You'll send in your questionnaire. Once I get it, as long as you're one of the first 30 people, I will send you a confirmation email confirming what you chose as far as your yarn base and how many skeins you want and such, and how you're paying, whether the full club payment at once or per shipment. And at the same time, I will put a reserved listing for you up in my shop for you to make your payment. So you'll either be paying for your full club up front, or you'll be paying for your first shipment. You will have 3 days to make that payment to confirm your place in the club, your membership. If I don't get your payment within those 3 days, you'll go on a waiting list, and I'll let somebody else in if there's already a waiting list. But I really haven't had any problems with that in the past, so I'm not worried about that. Yeah, and then the first shipment will ship out at the end of February. If you are doing the pay per shipment option, I will be sending you a request for payment at the end of the month prior to the next shipment. So that would be March, and then again in May. And you'll have, a week to get that paid so that you get your next shipment. I have all the pricing information for whichever option you would want is in the thread. The shipping costs are also in that thread. I've described the sign-up process, which I just told you about. Oh, please, please, please make sure that your email addresses that you put in your questionnaire are accurate, and make sure they're ones that you check regularly, because when I do send your confirmation, or if I have to send out any subsequent messages to you during the club, I want to make sure that you're getting them. So just please double check those email addresses. If you have any questions about any of this, please go ahead and either email me at fibernymph@gmail.com. That would actually be the best place. You can PM me on Ravelry. I will try to answer there, but I can't guarantee it. You can ask questions in the thread on Ravelry, though. I'll definitely be checking in there, and I'll answer questions. But again, those signups will be on Monday. They'll open on Monday, January 8th at 9 a.m. Look for the link to the questionnaire and get your questionnaire submitted, and we'll take it from there. So I'm super excited about this club. I've been thinking about this one for months. I've had this in the works in my brain. So now it's actually happening, and I can't wait. Yeah, so happy hour. Let's get together for happy hour. Okay, I think that's everything. This is probably a really long episode, and I apologize. But yeah, I don't have a shop update this week. The next shop update will be next Friday, the 12th, 6 p.m. Friday the 12th. And that will be some Valentine's colorways and some more winter colorways. So you could be looking forward to that. But right now, I'm focused about the club, because that's going to start on Monday, those signups. All right, that is everything. I need to get my camera screen back here. Okay, that's everything for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Again, any questions, just email me, or PM me on Rav, whatever. I will try to get back to you as timely as possible. And until next week, have a great week. Bye.